Hi, I'm Daniel Hylton. How about in the next 25 minutes or so, let's do a Alla Prima oil painting on this canvas right here. It's all wet and slick and ready to go. So let's paint. Now my son and his children really like to fish. So let's make them a fishing spot. A stream, lake, I don't know. We'll see in just a minute. But over here, let's not be moving here this much. This is just cerulean blue here. It's really nice sky color. And you don't really need to add anything to it. Today I'm just going to have some high, thin overcast here. But this cerulean blue is a really nice sky color, so we're going to use that today. Let's see, kind of blend that in a little bit, and I'll put a few clouds in it. Sometimes I get a little vigorous with my. Okay, let's see. Let's put a few clouds in here. Maybe some of these those horsetail clouds we used to call them. Yeah, let's do a few of those. Maybe over here on the side, the horizon. And you know what? I believe that'll work. Okay. Now I'm going to have, like I said, we're going to have, let's see. Yeah, it looks okay. I'm going to have a lake or a stream. Let's see. I'm going to add a little bit of phthalo green and phthalo blue to the cerulean blue. And let's see. Let's have it come from over there. Ooh, that's a nice dark color. Come over here like this. And yeah, that's better. And down here. Hey, you know what? Let's have a point that'll go out here. So they'll have a place to walk out and do their fishing. And let's see. Gonna blend that in a little bit. Yeah. Now I'm gonna have some. I'm not gonna put any mountains in this today, but I think it's gonna be a mountain lake, but don't want any mountains in it. So what I need to do is I do want some foothills off in the background. Let's see what olive green looks like. Maybe right here. Yeah. I'm going to put a little bit of sap green in it just to variegate the color a little bit. Kind of give it a little bit of life. Yeah. Okay. About like that, I guess. And that's going to be way off back there, so yeah, we'll get a little bit of. Now let's. I guess that'll be all right. Okay, let's have some a little closer. On this side, let's have one comes down here like this. Kind of cuts that one off. And once again, I'll variegate the color a little bit. Have that kind of angle around a little bit. And I think I'll just keep up with that. Maybe add a little bit of. And this one I think I'll put on the base to the hillside, have it come down a little closer here. And we can add some trees in this one. And actually, I think I'm gonna have a meadow at the base of that. Let's put some trees in that. Let's see, let's use this little brush right here. Okay. the indication of some trees over there. Yeah, that'll work. You know, I told you last week that I stepped out of a car, an old 60s era Dodge. I'm going to use a bigger brush for that. Let's try this. I told you, that's going to be better. I told you that I had an old 60s era Dodge that used to slip out of gear on me. And one morning, as I was driving to work, I was so tired, I fell asleep and I dreamed that it slipped out of gear, and I dreamed a whole sequence of events that resulted in me stepping out of the car and getting flipped down the highway and into the bar pit. Well, I actually less than a year later, a few months later, I wrecked that car because once again I was tired. Only this time it was late at night. I had been promoted to materials coordinator, which meant when you had crews working light to light, it basically meant I was there a half hour before they went to work to make sure everybody's sorted out, and I stayed a little later. So I was pretty tired a lot, and I was coming home. Well, in those days, you know, traveling around itinerant construction, you're only in one place for a few months at a time, usually 6 to 9 months, and then you move on to another state, another job. And so starting a bank account, closing it every so often, it doesn't work out real well. So what in those days, now this is the 1980s, in those days, there's usually some kind of store, usually a liquor store, that would cash your checks for a fee or as long as you bought something there. And where we were working in Sturgeon, Missouri, there was a store that, he sold liquor, which I really didn't have much to do with, but okay, let's bring this down. But he did sell pizza. And another issue with work in transit construction is that, man, it's hard to. My wife had 4 little children. We only had one vehicle, which I drove to work, and so it was really kind of tough for her to get out to the store and get groceries. We're working 7 days a week, and I may need something off in the background there. We'll see in a minute. Anyway, oh no, you know what? I am going to have a meadow over there. You know, maybe this is fall though. So let's see. Let's put a bit of a meadow over there, and let's variegate it with some brush, stuff like that. Make it kind of look like it's a fall meadow. And need some brighter color in here. Well, anyway, so my wife had not been able to go to the store. She had a couple of friends, but it was really kind of hard. It's really kind of hard for her, with me working all the time. And I knew they were out of groceries, so I told her that night I would stop at the pizza place and cash my check and bring pizza home for the kids. And her, of course. And boy, I got off late that night. I got off so late that night. Well, now on this side, let's, I'm going to have a tree way off in the background there. There's just no way around that. Let's see. I'm going to have another hill back here just to make it look right. So let me put this in real quick. Well, anyway, and then we'll darken this up in front of it and this up in front of that. Kind of separate them all. So anyway, oh man, I was so late getting off work that night. Let's see, I suppose that'll work, I guess. I need to be a little brighter. Well, I'm gonna have a meadow over here too. See, let me use this, kind of delineate where our meadow's gonna be. Like I told you, I think I'm gonna have a point come out here into the lake, maybe have a rock for the kids to fish off of. Yeah, something like that. Some trees on this side. Well, anyway, I stopped at the liquor store, ordered a couple of pizzas, had to sit around and wait for them to show up. And then I cashed my check, and so Karen would have some money. And I headed for the house. Now, we lived on, I think it was Route 55 out of Sturgeon, I can't remember. And I was over just about a mile the other way, the road we took out of the show up. That's where the store was, and there's interconnecting roads every so often that would take me over to 55. And we just lived just a little ways off 55, so I was only a mile or two from the house. But anyway, I was so tired, I turned on what I thought was the connecting road. Well, it wasn't a connecting road. And there was a big sign. In fact, there were two signs. The first one was a little covered by brush. But there was definitely a sign that said bridge out. I didn't see it. I did not see it. Let's have some tall trees over here. I did not see the sign that told me the bridge was out. And so I heading down that road. I wasn't going real fast, maybe 40, 45 miles an hour. Next thing I know, I'm going through a barricade and down over all those concrete stanchions they have, and I could see the water, not 25, 30 yards in front of me. So I cranked, and the car was bouncing and banging, and I knew it was doing all kinds of damage. So I cranked it to the right. Luckily, it didn't quit. Pushed on the gas, went up through a farmer's fence into a farmer's field. I curled back around, went through the farmer's fence the other side, back on the road, went back, and I could tell the way cars were flipping and flopping that all four of the tires were flat, and or at least two or three of them were. Oh, it was a mess. But anyway, so I got back onto the main road, went down, found the right road, turned across, made it to the highway, turned to the neighborhood. By the time I got to the neighborhood, that car was screaming. That engine was making all kinds of noise. I found out later I'd knocked the oil pan off, so there's no oil in the engine. So here I turned and go up. Our house is on a little hill. I'm headed up this hill toward my house, and people are coming out on their porches. Porch lights are coming on. That car's just flipping and flopping and banging, sound like a tank. Engine screaming. I finally made it into the driveway. I reached for the key, and it just made a funny noise and quit. And that was the end of that car. So anyway, and now there's a sequel to this, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a big tree over here because I need to cut off that. This is just this is plant green, a little bit of viridian hue, and if I need it, I'll put a little black in it. I'm not sure I do. I'm gonna have a whole grove of trees right here. Now there's a sequel to that story. One of my neighbors down the road, an older woman, she had a car for sale, an early 70s Chevy sedan. And I'd seen it sitting in the yard. I'd been thinking about buying it anyway. And I just cashed my check, and I think she only wanted like $1,500 for it. So the next morning I called my boss, told him I was going to be a little late, told him what happened. He had a good laugh. And then I went down, saw the lady, bought the car, headed to work. Well, just before you get to the show-up yard, big sweeping curve on the highway. As I go around this curve, something bounces in front of me, and I duck because I thought it was a deer coming out of the woods. But it was a tire. It bounced down the road in front of me and then rolled off in the ditch. Of course, as soon as I got on the straight stretch, my car just dropped to the side, and I don't know, the tire hadn't been on good and I hadn't checked. So then I have to, there on the side of the road, I have to go fetch my tire, jack up the car, put a tire on. Yeah, me and cars, I don't know. I have two older brothers who are just really clever with cars. I'm going to put a little black in this to, now and once in a while, make this look right. But my two older brothers are really great with cars, not me. I don't have a mechanical bone in my body, not even one. I'm going to have that a little bit higher, kind of, so it looks like that. So it looks like that hill back there goes behind these. And I need a little bit of, I'm going to put a little black on here just to kind of delineate a couple of these trees a little better, variegate them out. And like this, and maybe like that. Okay, now let's have a meadow here. I'm going to use pretty much kind of all the same colors. That's a little dark. Now let's, here, clean this off. Yeah, me and cars. Yeah, that's a simple painting today, but we're just making a place for my son and my grandkids to go fishing. They do like to fish. I've never been much of a fisherman. I fish when I'm around them, but I'm not much for fishing. Okay, now we're gonna have to variegate this. I'm gonna have some. Okay, this looks like it should be in the sun over here. So let me get this off of here. Actually, let me just use a different brush and get some of this bright green on. Maybe even some Naples yellow. Looks like there's something growing over there. Yeah, that'll work. Tell you something else too. There could be, occasionally over there could be a rock next to the shore, couldn't there? And let's see. I put a little black underneath them. And then highlight them a little. That looks good enough. Might have to dress up that shoreline a little bit. There we go. Something like that. Now then, on this side, we need some brush. And put some, let's see, let's have some dark in it too. This is like I said, we're gonna have a fall meadow here. So we need to have some dark brush in it here and there. And maybe some brighter brush here and there. I'm gonna have a rock out here. I'm gonna have a rock out here. See, I'm gonna get a little black and put it in here. Black and titanium white. And let's have a big old rock that they can stand on that goes down into the water like that. And maybe another one right there. Okay. And put a little highlight on it. Maybe a little black underneath. And put some little black in the places, just break it up. Now let's have sunlight hitting it. Okay. And let's see, let's use this brush right here. Pull that down in the water. Need to sharpen that edge a little bit on it. And like that. Okay. And we'll put a water line at the base of that. And I'm going to try something here. I bought this brush. It's for putting grass and stuff. And see how well it works for me. Yeah, it worked pretty good. Okay, now I see another place I got to have a short line, don't I? And you know what? I might ought to have some tree trunks in here just to. And we got to have a little bit of difference. So let's put some bright leaves on this in places. And also have some dark stuff. Okay, we need something else here. Got about 3 minutes here. We need something else here. Use that little brush and maybe that stuff's dark at the bottom too. Give it a little bit of interest. We need something else here. What can we put in this painting? I don't know. Let's just have some flowers over here, I guess. I've only got 2 minutes left, so let's, I'll tell you what. Let's have a few little blue flowers around and brighten those up. We're going to put a little white on them. And maybe we ought to have some sticks growing up in this. Make it look right. Kind of straighten up my trunk there a little bit. I'm getting old and my hands shake. Looks like a nice fishing spot. I'm going to have one more little tree out there, though. One more little tree. I got 30 seconds here, so let's have a tree that grows right there. And let's give him a buddy. Let's give him a buddy, a little guy. And maybe we can variegate this a little bit. Put a few things up like this in here. Just kind of liven it up. All right, I'm going to sign it and we're done. Yep, there we are. There's 25 minutes. All righty. Let me sign this right over here, I guess. And Nate and his kids will have a fishing spot. Okay. Toss those glasses away. Thank you, folks. Nice little simple little painting. Thank you for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you come back and join me again next time. And until next time, God bless, and you take care.